Welcome to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to be here with you today because we are taking a definitive, science-based look at one of the most enduring legends of our time. We are officially decoding the Bermuda Triangle. And right off the bat, let me just say, no aliens, no time portals, no fictional sea monsters. You can officially put your tinfoil hats away for this one. We are going to look at the fascinating, undeniable scientific reality of what is actually happening out there in the Atlantic Ocean. I want you to picture something for a second. Imagine the terrifying reality of completely disappearing without a single trace. Just poof, gone into thin air. What actually happens when a massive cargo ship or an entire squadron of military planes simply vanishes from the face of the Earth? No wreckage, no distress calls, literally nothing left behind. That is the dramatic question at the very heart of our investigation today. All right, let's jump right in. Act 1. The Devil's Triangle. Before we can even try to solve this mystery, we really need to establish the sheer, massive scale of the myth we're dissecting today. Imagine a huge, breathtaking 3D map in your head right now. The Bermuda Triangle, which, is sometimes ominously called the Devil's Triangle, isn't actually on any official government map. It's this loosely defined region in the North Atlantic, roughly bounded by Miami, Florida, the island of Bermuda, and San Juan, Puerto Rico. And depending on who you ask, this vast stretch of ocean spans anywhere from 500,000 to a massive 1.5 million square miles. It's absolutely huge.
And inside those waters, the numbers are genuinely chilling. Roughly 50 ships and 20 planes have mysteriously vanished here since the mid-19th century. We are talking about massive vessels, like the 542-foot USS Cyclops back in 1918, which vanished with over 300 men aboard. No SOS, no evidence of an attack, just an absolute, chilling lack of wreckage.
But hang on a second, because here is the statistical reality of this region. When you actually look at the daily maritime and air traffic, this corridor is one of the most heavily traveled routes on the entire planet. So mathematically speaking, there is literally no statistical anomaly here. The accident rate perfectly matches the exceptionally high volume of traffic passing through. It's not some cursed vortex, there is simply a higher probability of accidents when you're driving on such a busy highway, so to speak.
Of course, statistics do not exactly comfort the families of the lost, right? So let's pivot to Act 2, the Doomed Patrol. This is the chilling historical case study that cemented this legend in the public consciousness forever. Let's walk through the fateful hours of December 5th, 1945. At 2 p.m., 5 seasoned TBM Avenger torpedo bombers known as Flight 19 take off from Fort Lauderdale for a totally routine navigation exercise. Their flight leader, Lieutenant Charles C. Taylor, had 2,500 flight hours and multiple combat tours under his belt. Yet, by 3:45 p.m., he reports being utterly off course. Around 4 p.m., both of his compasses fail, and command is eventually transferred in the utter chaos. But the tragedy gets even worse when, at 7:27 p.m., a massive PBM Mariner rescue plane takes off to find them and completely vanishes just minutes later. Just put yourself in that cockpit for a moment. The sheer, suffocating panic they must have felt. The flight leader radioed the tower, saying, "We can't find West. Everything is wrong. Everything looks strange, even the ocean." Both compasses had completely failed them, and the ocean itself had become an unrecognizable trap to these incredibly experienced aviators. And then came the flight leader's final, haunting transmission before those 5 planes went silent forever. A trembling voice, bordering on hysteria, uttered, "It looks like we are entering whitewater. We're completely lost." They were never heard from again, and despite a massive 380,000 square mile search, not a single piece of wreckage was ever found. We really have to pause and emphasize the tragic human cost here. 27 men vanished that day, 14 men lost on Flight 19, plus 13 more brave souls on the PBM Mariner rescue plane that disappeared just 10 minutes into its search. To this day, it remains one of the greatest mysteries in naval aviation history. But here's the thing. The ocean does not need aliens or Atlantean crystals to be terrifying. Welcome to Act 3, Nature's Lethal Forces. Let's shift our focus from human tragedy to planetary physics. We are going to quickly look at the 4 scientific horsemen of the triangle that perfectly explain these seemingly impossible disappearances. We're talking magnetic anomalies via the agonic line, the sheer power of the Gulf Stream, terrifying 100-foot rogue waves, and the sudden danger of methane hydrate eruptions.
First up, the agonic line. This is a rare planetary alignment where true north and magnetic north point in the exact same direction. For much of the early 20th century, this line passed directly through the Bermuda Triangle. If you were a captain relying on an old-school compass out there, you would unknowingly deviate right off your course because your compass wasn't accounting for the usual magnetic variation.
And this magnetic confusion easily stranded older, less equipped vessels. Misguided compasses led ships away from the safety of the deep ocean and straight into the Caribbean's insanely complex underwater topography. We're talking a maze of treacherous, shallow reefs. If your ship got stuck in those unforgiving shallows during a bad storm, well, you were doomed. Now add our second factor to the mix, the Gulf Stream. Think of this as a massive 5-knot ocean river flowing beneath the Atlantic. It accelerates travel, sure, but it also acts as a ridiculously violent weather maker. When atmospheric conditions shift over this warm current, it triggers rapid, violent, and entirely unpredictable storms, thunderstorms and waterspouts that can blind pilots and capsize sailors in an instant. And if that wasn't enough, we have factor 3, rogue waves. Because the triangle is completely exposed to storm systems approaching from all directions, north, south, and straight from Florida, these weather systems can actually collide to forge extreme, unpredictable walls of water. We're talking waves up to 100 feet tall. These massive rogue waves just appear without warning, and they are entirely capable of snapping a huge ship in half and sending it to the bottom in seconds.
But this next one is literally the stuff of nightmares. Imagine the terrifying scenario of the ocean itself suddenly losing its ability to hold your ship afloat. Deep under the ocean floor, decomposing organisms create massive pockets of methane gas. If these methane hydrate eruptions release a huge bubble to the surface, it drastically reduces the water's density. A ship caught in that frothy water would lose all buoyancy and plummet to the bottom rapidly, without a second of warning.
All right, let's move into our final section, the real mystery. Because modern science is still uncovering mind-bending geological realities about this region that are honestly far more fascinating than any sci-fi myth. Take the very existence of the island of Bermuda itself. It is a total geological oddity. Volcanic islands usually submerge over millions of years, right? But Bermuda hasn't. Scientists recently discovered Bermuda is literally floating on a rare, 20-kilometer-thick layer of relatively less dense igneous rock. It's resting on this geological scaffold that totally defies standard mantle plume theories, proving the Earth right beneath the triangle is still full of surprises. Plus, the ocean floor out there is like Mount Everest in reverse. The Milwaukee Deep plunges over 27,000 feet down, making it one of the absolute deepest points in the entire Atlantic Ocean. An ocean that impossibly deep effortlessly swallows and hides the wreckage of massive vessels, like the USS Cyclops or Flight 19, keeping them hidden from our search planes and submarines forever.
Which leaves us with one pretty profound thought to end on today. If the raw, unconquered power of our own planet, rogue waves, sudden unpredictable storms, massive deep ocean trenches, and shifting magnetic fields can swallow massive ships and squadrons of planes without leaving a single trace, what else is hiding down there in the deep? Nature itself is the ultimate mystery. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep questioning what you see.